Strategic Hotbox with Dr. Brandi Stankovic. Discussing leadership, business, and how to take control of your life and achieve greatness. From the streets of Las Vegas, energized, informed, and never diluted. It's time to kick some ass.
Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Brandi Stankovic. Welcome back to the Strategic Hotbox. I'm so excited that you're here. And for anyone that this is your first time, we come at you live from all different places. Sometimes we have boots in the dirt and we're on site with different locations. Sometimes we're in the studio. And now, today, we're coming to you virtually live because our guests are coming to us from Michigan. So we'll hear more about them in just a second. At the Strategic Hotbox, we learn, we love, and we kick ass. So in the learn section, we learn something new from a subject matter expert, somebody that's out there in the industry making things happen. And then we also love, business is all about relationships and getting to know each other and networking and how we can choose love in the world around us. And then finally, as always, we will give you some takeaways, something you can start executing on today so you can walk away and kick some ass. So are you ready to get started? I'd love now to introduce you to our guests. I have two really good friends. We go way back. We've worked together. We've worked together on projects. We've been in the industry together. This is Nick, Olexa, and Aaron Kluck from StoryFI. Welcome, my friends.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having us. Excited to be here.
And it's been a minute since. Are you guys coming to us live from Michigan? Are you both in the same place in Michigan? Where are you on the planet?
Yeah, we're both in Michigan. I'm in Metro Detroit, and Aaron's just north of Metro Detroit. I'll let you tell him where you're from, Aaron.
Yeah, Lapeer, Michigan. So nice, cozy little farming town, about an hour north of Detroit.
So a little bit of a different kind of culture than I'm coming to from Las Vegas, but you know, I like to hear all the stories from all the things. And you have been up to I would say up to no good, but you've been up to some good. So tell me what's happening. You've got a new business. You're changing the world. You're becoming media masterminds.
Yes, no, we're really excited about this new development. So really, at the tail end of last year in 2022, a consortium of credit unions came together. And they essentially offered to purchase our video production team from our previous employer, where Brandi and I and Aaron all worked together, CU Solutions Group, now known as CUSG. And that sale transaction actually went through in early spring of this year. They brought me, the consortium brought me over as the CEO to run that company and to really grow it beyond where we're at. So in the few short months that we've been in business as a standalone organization, we've been able to add 3 team members. We're looking at a 4th team member. So we're growing real fast. But what is our mission? What are we trying to do? We see ourselves as a boutique video agency. We're not an all-in ad agency. We're not trying to do everything under the sun. What we do is we do video production, everything soup to nuts, and then things that are video adjacent, like buying or doing media planning and buying that media, doing like a targeted media buy for that content. And that's really come out of our experience in the last decade or so working with credit unions and other financial institutions. We would create this beautiful piece of media for them, beautiful piece of content or a series of content, an actual campaign. We would hand it off, and then the question would be, now what? What are we going to do with this? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to expand our offerings so that we have a comprehensive suite that we can say, here's what you can do now, and make it more of a comprehensive offering. And that's a big difference from where we were at under our old company to where we are at as a standalone StoryFI. And the very name StoryFI, what is that about? It's about taking the narrative that your organization already has in place, that is striving to write just in how they live and operate, and taking that and making a story out of it, finding the story and being able to tell that in different ways. So we're really excited to be on our own. We're really excited to really grow this business. We have an exceptionally talented team. And Aaron is our Chief Operating Officer and Chief Creative Officer. And I'll let him say a couple of words here.
Yeah, super excited to be on with you both, and really excited about what we're planning on doing, over the next few years in the space. A lot of potential. We're working close with a lot of, regional and community-based financial institutions. There's a lot of potential, a lot of growth, and a lot of need in the content and media space, and we love being, one of the solutions to help them out.
I love that. And I was going to hassle you, but then you were so kind to turn it over to Aaron. I was going to hassle you to say an exceptionally talented team. Well, yeah, because this is being recorded, right? And they're all gonna see it. So you better say nice things to your team. But what a cool crossover for you guys of things that you're so passionate about, but then you also have tremendous talent and experience in. And so I'm really stoked for you. And I know that we've worked together on many video projects. And I know I was your favorite person to video.
Absolutely,
live.
100%.
Yeah, again, we're being recorded. But I learned a lot from you along the way, and I was always impressed in how you were turning things around and putting it out with that story, like you're saying, and creating a story sometimes when there wasn't one. So there's this concept about immersive video. What is that, and what does that mean?
Well, it
Yeah,
could
I'll
mean a
jump in
lot
on
of
that.
different things. Yeah, but yeah, I was going to hand it off to Aaron here. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really interesting when we started talking. Saw the question about immersive video. It can mean a whole bunch of different things. People include that in looking at VR. From that viewpoint, from augmented reality, we're seeing a lot of it even in kind of installations. If you're familiar with like immersive Van Gogh or immersive Disney, where you walk into
Yes,
these
I've seen that.
these rooms and they have
Mhm,
the projectors all around you, and it's just another way
mhm,
to experience content and media in a way that, and especially in the Van Gogh type experience, is very surrealistic,
mhm.
right? Now,
Sure.
specifically for brands and where they might start seeing these, I'd say uh, expedition halls, event spaces, trade shows,
Mhm.
all great spaces to use immersive video. It can be everything. I think when I was a kid, the first time you start seeing video used beyond just a screen, I believe we're maybe at Disney or something, and you're sitting down in a 4D theater, water sprays on you. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting when you look at all these different ways, and those have been around for 20, 30 years, right? Some of these new ways, especially with brands like Apple with their Vision Pro coming out next year, really starting to dive into fully immersive environments, where the
Mhm.
crux of that is a visual content. Sky's the limit, and I'm very excited to see where these all go and how brands, especially smaller brands, who might not have $2 billion in their marketing budget,
Sure.
can
Right.
utilize some of these strategies to really forward their causes.
If my chair starts vibrating or water comes out of my screen, I'm gonna be it's gonna feel a little creepy, I think. But I love the idea of this immersive video. And I was even thinking about like surround sound at home when you're listening
Mhm.
and watching shows. It just changes the game. But you started to mention it there about uh how can somebody begin the process? I mean, is this a social media thing? Is this just working only, with the professional videos we're putting on our website? I mean, where do where do you go? Nick, what's your thought?
Uh, uh, well, that's a good question, and I mean, we're surrounded by video all the time, in pretty much everything we do, be it social media, be it digital channels, TV, even excuse me, out in the world. You could be accosted by video ads at your favorite restaurant. Um, but ultimately what immersive video means is trying to create an experience that brings you into something, or it puts you in a perception or reality that allows you to kind of think about something in a different way. Kind of touching on what Aaron said, having grown up in Metro Detroit, cars are the business of Detroit, and the Detroit Auto Show was the long stay. um, I remember just going to the auto show many times, many years, and over the years, like the immersive video that supported those car launches got better and better. It was really meant to kind of bring you in and allow you to visualize yourself in that vehicle, doing different things, or see that vehicle in different environments or scenarios that, that were maybe aspirational to you, the buyer. So
Mhm.
that was on, a main stage. But then as things have progressed, they've taken kind of that immersive sort of video, and they've been able to chop it up and kind of parse it out into a social strategy. So actually, a lot of car launches nowadays are actually handled directly through, standalone web pages they'll make for that car, driven by a launch video, driven by a comprehensive social media strategy, where they're doing vignettes of what that vignettes of what that vehicle can do. Again, to kind of draw you in. So one part of it is advertisement. Another part is really trying to get you, the customer, to visualize yourself, in that vehicle, in that environment, doing something with that. So, that's kind of that the car companies have millions and millions of dollars to spend on immersive video, but that's not what you need to get into immersive video. There's certainly a lot of pretty easy steps you can take to create a strategy, especially a social strategy, that would allow you to get in that path.
Yeah, and I think that social
Yeah.
media has made everything so much more accessible, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
do really feel like it still takes a pro, right? And maybe a different kind of pro, right, to these different types of video, et cetera. But it really does still take somebody that knows what they're doing, because otherwise you can look amateurish, even though it's an amateur platform, even though it's social media, right? You can look amateurish
Mm-hmm.
really quickly, right? So do you recommend that people get support when they're even doing social media?
Yes and no. So, Aaron, why don't you take this one?
Yeah, it's really interesting you bring that up, because a lot of times the issues might not even be that you can't do it. It's just what you might be doing might be, if you're using only internal resources, might be behind the times, right? And behind the times could be 3 minutes ago when it comes to social. So you have to be very careful when you're doing things like that, because as a brand, when you're jumping on a bandwagon of something that is working and it's clean, that could take a really negative turn, you know what I mean? A day down the road because of some influencer who does or says something. And so you got to be very careful
Right.
with that, especially with paid influencers. But I do think you can definitely do some things on your own. That said, and I know it's an investment and not everyone wants to do it, but it's good to bring someone in who can be a professional, even if it's just from a consulting and strategy standpoint, especially when you start tying in social and video and all these other elements, immersive things. Now you're really asking a lot of probably an overworked team or group of team members who this might not be their cup of tea. So
Sure. Right. And I think
Yeah.
that just somebody that's engaged in the relevant things that are happening, because I see so often some of the businesses that I'll work with, they'll say, yeah, I totally want to do that. We're totally going to get some social media going. And then you talk to this person that's now in charge of social media, and they're like, I don't even have that account. I don't even have a Facebook. I don't even have an Instagram. I don't even use TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, why are you the one that's managing this? I mean, not that smart people can't make great things happen. It's more that if you aren't living it, then mistakes can be made really easily.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
and
social media requires a commitment.
Mhm.
You need to develop a cadence. You just can't post once and then hope that you're going to get this audience and followers. Like, you have to keep it
Mhm.
going, and you have to build off of the success, each time.
Mhm.
And there's something to be said. A lot of younger team members that a company might have on staff, probably well versed in social media, probably could put a relatively simple social media plan together. But kind of what you had said, when you start tying these digital channels together, when you try to create a more comprehensive strategy, that's when you really need to elevate it to a professional level and get someone in there that either has the know-how or can consult with someone that has the know-how to really start developing that out.
Are there certain keys then to engagement? Like, what draws people to a video? I mean, are there traditional ones that have been around forever? Are there some new things? I mean, what are some of those keys to engagement? Aaron, what's your thought?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a great question. You look at a lot of the social and YouTube content that you currently have out there, and there's a lot of algorithms in place, right? And so you can do a lot of things right, and you can miss those algorithms, and your video doesn't do as well. I will say, I always feel bad for internal teams because about once a week they hear someone on their team asking them to make something go viral. It's not that simple, obviously, but there are steps you can take. A lot of it is about creating something that is going to get people to watch, right? I mean, that's the equivalent of engagement on the front end. Can you pull in their attention in the first second, the first 2 seconds? So there's a lot of ways you can cut your content to, try to pull in people on the front end. But I will say too, depending on where you're trying to market, to your audience, whether it be on social and reels, people are flipping through reels, and you have a lot to compete with because there's a cat doing backflips, right? And someone, face planting on a skateboard in the first second, and now you're talking about enterprise SaaS. Like, you know what I mean? There's things where you're probably just not going to win on that upfront engagement if you go traditional. Whereas, there's a lot of other channels and other places, in training and other scenarios where you have a captive audience. And so a lot of it's just knowing your audience, knowing your channels, and creating content that is specific for those channels, and not a one size fits all, because that will fail miserably in our current market.
Yeah, and I think that knowing your audience really is crucial in that, right? Because not everybody consumes content the same way. We even find that at the Hotbox, we'll have one guest who is well watched on YouTube, right? We'll get all these views on YouTube, and then another that won't have, nobody will even watch it on YouTube, and then somebody else where everybody's consuming it on Spotify or Apple or whatever. Like all of them are so different, and sometimes there's method to that magic, right? Sometimes we do it on purpose, and then there's other times we look at each other going, how the heck did that happen, right? And so I think that it's a balance of that. Nick, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about themes, common themes that we see in a lot of projects are, really pulling at the humorous elements of a story that we might create. Other times it might be more of an emotional tug. One of the, I guess, the caveats with if you go the emotional route is that certain demographics could see that more as pandering. You're trying to make me feel this way, as opposed to say humor, where you will either choose to laugh or not, but you're not necessarily feeling completely pandered to. So those are just two common themes that we see quite a bit. But it really depends on the style or the type of media that you're looking to produce. I mean, if you're going for a brand anthem, which is more celebratory of what your organization is and it's aspirational to what you want to be, then we're talking, energetic, kind of hero-esque, really a highlight of culture. So, lots of different themes we plug into for a lot of different types of content. But those are three that come to mind.
And that's playing to that trends that you were speaking to earlier, right? So that's where trends could be really beneficial, but also can hurt us. Like when we jump on a trend, and whether it's a TikTok type video or a fast-paced, fast-cut video that might be used professionally, those things will work right now, but they could go out very quickly, but they also could work against you. Like I've seen brands jump on trends and then get in a lot of trouble for it too, because it's not authentic or organic. Nick, were you going to say something?
And actually, yeah, we're right in the middle of producing a holiday campaign right now, and we were trying to find alignment with kind of some trending things that are happening, at least on TikTok and Instagram. And this campaign will air very, very shortly, but and we produced it in a very short amount of time. But there's a chance that even 2 weeks from finishing production and editing to getting it in digital channels, that one or more of those pieces will not necessarily be in alignment with what's trending. So, sometimes speed is the name of the game if you're trying to attach to something that is trending.
Yeah, I can see that completely. So then there's this whole concept of artificial intelligence. So I have recently discovered an artificial intelligence tool that will take the episodes that we create here on the Strategic Hotbox and chop them up into consumable bits so I can put them on social media, right? It's all free. It's all like, I just click and it does it. It adds the captions. It's this insanity that's out there. How has artificial intelligence changed the game for you?
I'll let you take this one, Aaron.
it's really exciting, and on the same end, I know it's scary for people. Talk to a lot of people in our industry, in adjacent industries, writers, editors, designers, photographers. They're concerned, and rightfully so, because a lot of what they're doing, or a lot of what they've been able to do in the past and charge for, for example, taking a podcast, cutting it up into social chunks and getting those ready for you can save you thousands of dollars and lots of, really, it's the time aspect. On the positive side, we have a lot of the tools that we use to do our job in pre-production, production, and post are starting to have like AI elements added to them, some AI tools, and a lot of these are more about quality of life, just saving time for me so I don't have to, do each little piece by itself. Is it always perfect? No. And there's a lot of work you have to do to it and with AI tools to get them to work right. It's almost like learning how to paint, right? You're learning a new set of tools, but it can bring a lot to the table, can save myself, my team, hundreds of hours a year on doing some of these pieces. And so I think there's a lot of potential. I don't think we need to be afraid of it. I think we need to be cautious, going into it. And the only other thing I'll say about it, looking at people, just a little call out to our industry, the entertainment side, talent, actors, writers on that end. Obviously, there's concern there because, they don't want their jobs to be, taken over by AI. They want to keep the rights to themselves, the royalties and things like that. So there's a lot to keep an eye out in there. And one last point, be careful putting all your eggs in one basket in the AI tools, space.
Yeah.
We're only one legislation away from those not being able to use and do some of these things. And
smart.
so, just make sure you have fallbacks on for your content creation and things, but don't be afraid, use it, and reach out to companies that are using it, because it could save you a lot, and it could help you look at things a little bit differently. Like one of the greatest things about ChatGPT, ask them questions, you know what I mean? See what comes back. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you on that. It is what is produced by these AI tools definitely takes some, I don't know, massaging is the word I'll come up with.
Yes, that's a great word. It's a great word.
Periodically, it will have, it will take a wrong turn, or it'll do, but it does cut things down, like as far as eliminating some of the pauses or whatever in the video, or automatically creating the chunks. But it definitely takes a human behind it that has some sort of skill set to understanding it. So it's smart to reach out to companies and see what they're using and how they can help use that with the tools that you have as an organization as well. But you spoke a little bit to, it's kind of like painting. Is video and edit and all of these different pieces, is it an art form or is it a technical skill? I mean, you tell me.
It's kind of both. It's I always call it an imperfect science, and the imperfect part is really the artistic I guess effort you want to put into it. And I say that there's very much like a technical know-how that you need in many different elements of production. Be that planning, a light scheme. If you're lighting a scene, you have to have a very strong technical know-how and ability to do that and do it well. If you're editing, there's a lot that goes into that isn't necessarily just dropping clips in and then, putting transitions or effects on top of it. So there's the element where, it's very technically heavy, but then it's those who come in and they're able to, to really draw out the clips that are going to help tell the story. So there's many clips when you do an interview or you're out getting B-roll that will tell a similar story, but the certain clips will tell a better story than others. And that's where the artistry comes in. That's where talent comes in for an editor. So it's like they have the technical know-how, they know how to do an edit, but they also know to look for certain things that are going to tell that in a more poignant way. And that's something that, we've had many, or at least a decade worth of experience doing, if not almost 15 years now. And
I love, not to kind of put a little snippet in here, I absolutely love working with somebody that will run with it, right? I mean, it's kind of like when you go get a tattoo. How often you go to, some people go to get a tattoo and they're like, this is exactly what I want, 11,000 photos of it, this size, whatever. And other people go and like, I kind of just want this. and then allow the
Hmm.
artist to create a little bit around that. And I know I probably just, pissed off a whole bunch of tattoo artists listening, but I feel the same way about video. Some of the video people that I work with,
Hmm.
like, I didn't really know. I know I wanted to have energy. I know I wanted to have this and kind of have some elements, but I
Hmm.
like the artistry that comes from the people behind the camera as well.
And, I like when we are given the creative license to do that. Certainly, if you have a brand architecture, we can follow that to the T. It can look exactly, as you say, exactly how you want it, based on 10,000 photos or a, 30-page deep brand guide. Um, but if you give us creative license as well to tell that story within that framework of the brand guide, we certainly will come back to you with something that is probably more poignant, more relevant, or interesting than you might otherwise produce by yourself.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think that that's part of having professionals like you be in that, because I mean it's the audio, it's the edit, it's
Hmm.
the video, it's the B-roll, it's all those different pieces put together that really make a story come to life, and then ultimately allowing it to be immersive or that type of thing. Um,
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Were you going to say something? Because I'm going to throw another
Oh,
question at you if not.
oh, yeah. I was going to see if Aaron had any thoughts on this one.
No, I think you covered it there. But one thing on my team, our team of editors, there's some of them that I would say I would categorize more as artists, and other more as technical editors or producers, right? And so depending on the project, an artist might thrive on a certain type of project, but then on a really technical training based edit, they're just you can barely get them to keep their head up, and so getting the right talent to work on the right types of jobs in the production, in the writing, in the post, super important. And having a good swath of talent you can pull from can really help, as you're trying to define and figure out, okay, based on this brand guide, what's the story we're really trying to tell? And that's what we pride ourselves on.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that's great. And as being a person that has built a lot of things from the ground up and figured out how to use tools and figured out how to do some of that, having that sometimes that creative piece isn't in the capacity of people, but there's a whole lot of edit that needs to occur that doesn't require that. Sometimes you just get sucked in, and I know you guys know better than anybody, but it is
Yes.
there's a lot of work, just repetitive work that comes through just sorting through video and things as well. Do you have a funny story or something crazy that's happened?
I'll
Well, I'll
jump in.
start. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead,
Oh,
Aaron.
I know, I got you. I got this one. So,
Okay.
yeah, well, so this one, I was thinking about this, and I do have some stories from where we've worked in the past. I just don't know if I should share them on the air. So I'll leave that, between offline, Brandi. But I will say a fun one, if you're ever doing production, you'll always notice you're always going to have, we call them bogeys. Like, watch out, we got a bogey at 9, coming in, and they'll get in front of the camera. They'll ask you what you're doing. You're just trying to get a take. It's usually the end of the day. Everyone's tired. And so if you ever have that happen, photo shoot, video, anything like that, an old industry trick, you always just, quietly tell them that you're working on a mayonnaise commercial. Or maybe something for adult diapers. You pick something really unexciting, uninteresting, and you cannot count how fast they will run away and leave you alone.
They don't want a
And so,
cameo in an adult
they
diapers
do not
commercial.
want to, exactly. Like, we have an extra spot for you, actually. And so I will say you can have some fun with that. We always like to try to, just play with people a little bit on that, but it does keep them away so you can get your production finished. So, take that from that what you will next time
I'll
you're
steal
recording
that one, yeah.
a podcast on site. You have a mayonnaise podcast. Super important. So.
And what's so interesting about that is when we're doing a field production, we're out there in the public somewhere. We've rented a space, or we're just out, outside somewhere. We are approached by quite a few people, more people than you would think, that say they have a production or had a production background, were in production, or are adjacent to it, and they offer to help. So it's just kind of an interesting aside that there are so many people out there that have some form of production experience, and certainly are willing to lend a hand.
Or claim that they do.
Or
Everybody's an
exactly,
expert.
everybody's
Everybody's a
overselling their
photographer.
abilities, right?
So, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so I have some questions for you. We'll start with Nick, and I'll ask these both to you first, and then we'll switch over to Aaron. If you could, you would blank every day. Nick?
That's a good one. I don't necessarily make the enough time for my wife and daughter on every day, and I'm putting a lot toward work. I would probably take a beat to really just kind of dive into what my daughter did at school, and really hear about what's going on with my wife, and her job. We try our best, but sometimes work gets the better of you. But family life is much more important in most respects. So got to make time for it.
Well, that's very sweet. Aaron, how about you?
Mine's going to be on a similar vein, and maybe it's just because Thanksgiving's coming up. But I would take some time, and I do try to do this sometimes. But miracle mornings don't always happen. So be intentional about being thankful. About the things that we do have in such a fast-paced and crazy world. With social media, everything has to be so quick and so instant. Taking some time to be really grateful for our jobs, for our families, for opportunities, to make connections is really big. And I think, probably ups the positivity you're going to have that day if you take some time in the morning to do that.
You guys are so sweet. I think my answer would be eat donuts and not get fat.
Hey, there's nothing with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
And let me tell you, I love some donuts.
Nick, the world would be a better place if?
World would be a better place if we all took a little bit more time to understand each other. I know there's a lot of world turmoil all the time in every part of the world. I think oftentimes we're quick to rush to judgment and not really, take the time we need to try to understand where the other person is coming from. I'm guilty of it. Everyone's guilty of it. But, just a little bit more patience, I think, to try to hear people you disagree with, hear them out.
Yeah. Aaron, the world would be a better place if?
I think the world would be a better place if all of the people on our teams who are actually doing the work got a chance to have a bit more of a say, and I think we're getting to that place in our society. But there's so many great ideas there that I think get hidden or covered or, kind of just stuffed, because they're so busy doing busy work. So I would love to just hear more. And I think that's happening, but I think the more ideas we can get out there, the better we're going to be as a society.
I love it. Thank you guys both for being here. Stick with me, but we're going to head out and hear from one of our friends in a shout out.
I'm Peter from Poland, and you are listening to Brandi on Hotbox. Yeah, just right now.
Thank you so much to Peter from Poland. We appreciate you for sending us a shout out, and hello to you, and hope to see you soon. Now, Nick and Aaron, if people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Well, you can email either of us. I'm Nick at StoryFI.com. That's StoryFI.com. Aaron's is also the same. Aaron, AARON at StoryFI.com. We have a general email, which is info@storyfi.com if you don't know who you want to talk to. And we also have a phone number, which is 313-718-1020.
Great.
Oh, and then obviously our website right there.
Yeah, of course.
Right. And Instagram, Team StoryFi.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Team StoryFi on Instagram.
Yeah. All right, follow on Team StoryFi. I love it. And now it's my favorite time. It is the time where we leave all the people that are listening and watching, all of our faithful followers, people that are here that tuned in specifically just to hear what was happening with the two of you. We're going to leave them with some tools to kick ass. So based on everything that we talked about today, what is a takeaway today? Aaron, what's your thought?
I think big takeaway here, take some risks. Don't be afraid to try out some of the new tools, AI, social, some new things that maybe you've been wanting to do, but you don't feel you're empowered to do. Look at your team. You probably have someone on your team who can help you out. And if not, reach out. We'd love to help you, take a big step, take a risk. It's going to pay off.
And Nick, what do you
Yeah.
have to add?
Yeah, I mean, video is everywhere today, and I think all you need to do is pick up your cell phone, and you are completely enamored with every video you might find on that, just doom scrolling forever. But it doesn't take much to develop a comprehensive social strategy, but there's a threshold between developing, again, something that's simple, that follows a simple cadence, to something that is professional and it's going to start tying your digital channels together. And that's a good opportunity to lean on a professional group like StoryFI to really help, not only develop it, but develop the content for it and really begin to get some good performance out of that content to help you meet your growth goals. And that's what it's all about. It's about growth.
I love that. Engage, take risks, lean on professionals, and be willing to just put yourself out there and tell the story and engage. I love that. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. And I hope everybody goes out and checks out all of your stuff. And for anybody that has been dying for some more, check us out on social media at Strategic Hotbox and at Brandi Love. That's BRANDILUV. And check out all the behind the scenes. So you'll see a little bit of Nick and Aaron and me, but you'll also see all the other episodes and crazy stuff that we have going on at the Strategic Hotbox. You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. I mean, clearly you're listening to one of them now, but no, you have options. You can even check us out on Roku. We have our own Roku app you can download and look at all of your favorite episodes. Appreciate everyone listening and tuning in today. Again, thanks to Nick and Aaron. Until I see you again, get out there and kick some ass.